Hey everyone and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at the subreddit r/maliciouscompliance, where people conform to the letter but not the spirit of a request. Before this video starts, I just want to say I actually have another channel called Imagine where we go over like sciencey questions, and we're almost at 1,000 subscribers, so if you guys could go in the description and click my sciencey channel, I think that's what it's called, but click that and then go subscribe and even check out the videos if you can. But let's get right onto the video. I don't have the time, and you don't have a job. When I started working for a local council IT support desk in 2005, the standard operating procedures, or SOP, for answering calls is that when the phone rang, we take the user's details, their fault description, and attempt to fix the issue. This went on for 6 years until we had a new manager, with several innovative ideas which we all knew were not going to work in our particular environment. New manager calls a meeting with the entire team, including his own manager and the head of IT. He lays out the new rules and procedures. We stated that his procedures were not going to work because of various other protocols and the distance between sites. No one in authority listened to our concerns. Two main policies were that we divided into 3 shifts: morning shift from 7 to 3, day shift from 9 to 5, and a late shift from 2 to 10, and that only the day shift is supposed to spend time fixing the more complex issues. Morning shift and late shift are simply call takers. Call takers had 2 minutes per call, and any breach was brought up at your monthly review. Of all the new policies, the 2 minutes per call rule was the worst. Not only did we have a mere 2 minutes to take a call, we had to attempt some troubleshooting and write up all the notes. If this was a new employee, we also had to add their details onto the system. Being the most senior support person on the team, I made a mental list of what I could do in that 2 minutes. It was a small list, but it meant that when the first shift started at 7 AM, most of the important work could be done. Malicious compliance number 1. After a month, the department was in chaos. Because we could only work 2 minutes before handing it off to the day shift, there were a lot of calls for the 3-day shift workers to attempt to fix. The outstanding queue went from 100 calls to nearly 2,000 in that month. I maximized my time on every call. If I couldn't fix the call, I ensured that every call would take just under the 2-minute mark, then dumped them in the day shift call queue. Dropped calls, people who called and hung up, increased drastically, and one of the team went on long-term sick due to stress. Eventually, the boss decided to come in early and see what the problem was. He sees me and another tech taking calls and stands over us while we work through the calls. We both take less than 2 minutes per call and follow his rules to the letter. He has no reason to complain, but sees that the calls are dropping. With 2 people taking calls, 2 minutes per call, and a peak of 30 calls around the 8:30 AM time mean that lots of these calls drop, then call back later. Later in the shift, I see him checking call stats and see his face get red. He knows that his policy is not working. Malicious compliance 2. The following day, boss calls us all into the meeting room and states that we must work harder or smarter. He tells us that we need to use the on-site support team to handle the logged calls instead of the day shift. We still had the 2-minute rule and the same staffing levels. I mentioned a couple of times that VIPs couldn't wait, and that we need 4 people taking calls from 8 AM. I was told that the rules still stood. The day after, and we find out that on-site support have no free slots over a week, which is 3 times shorter than the day shift's waiting times. Boss is in, and instead of logging onto the phone, he's simply floating around. As 8:30 rolls around, I answer yet another call. This is a VIP, the chief executive. He's in a meeting room 70 miles away attempting to turn on his laptop, but he can't get past the encryption software. It's an easy fix, but it takes 10 minutes over the phone. I can't do it because of the 2-minute rule. I'm torn between dropping the calls or annoying the chief executive. Boss sees me hesitate and asks what's going on. Laptop encryption, he's in a distant town, The boss shut me down. Hand it off to desktop. I told him that they wouldn't be able to get out for over a week and that the day shift could fix it, but this is stopping him from working. Day shift is too busy. I don't care who it is, hand the call off, he told me before walking off. I took the details and told the chief executive that I'd have to hand the call off, made the notes on the call, and gave the incident reference. I realized that I hadn't told him who it was, but he could get this information easily. I also saved and replayed the recorded conversation to find that my boss could be heard clearly. After lunch, I was called into the office of the head of IT. He chewed me out for leaving the chief executive without anything to present the council's vision of the future for the distant town. I was told that the chief executive wants someone's head, metaphorically, for the treatment, and that formal proceedings had started and I was to be suspended on full pay. And did I have anything to add? I told the head of IT that my boss had told me to do it, and when I started to explain about it, he walked away. I also told him that if he pulled my phone log for that call, he could hear the boss saying that. I was told to stay in the office while the head of IT checked. An hour later, I was told to go home on full pay and return in the morning. The result was that the new boss was replaced. He was fired, and a new boss was placed there, promoted internally, actually listened to his staff, and let us suggest improvements. What kind of sane person thinks 2 minutes is enough time to fix a problem? I'm pretty sure it'd take 2 minutes for most people to even explain the problem. A €10 is too big to pay? Okay, you get it smaller. Sorry for bad English, German here. It isn't my story, but a colleague told me that a couple of years ago. To get to work, we had to take a bus from the train station close to our work. He paid with a €10 bill a ticket which cost about €1.30. But the bus driver seemed to be very angry about that and shouted at him for having such a big bill. Next day, he made sure not to make the bus driver angry again with a €10 bill. So, he counted 1, 2 and 5 cent coins until he had €1.30 together. I think the law says not to have more than 80 coins to pay, so he just got exactly 80. He had it in a bag and gave that to the bus driver. He just calculated the price together, but at one point miscalculated and started again. Of course, the bus got a bit late. I can kinda see both sides of that story, but it was a malicious compliance. Force feed me? Bon appetit. Not sure how malicious this is, but I've been watching a lot of those Reddit Storytime videos that have kids vomiting, and it reminded me of this. So, I was about 7 or 8 when this happened, and my parents had a nightmare of a time feeding me. I was really fussy, according to them, but honestly, my mum's cooking is, well, in Australia, we call it meat and 3 veg. Usually some kind of grilled meat and boiled or stranger vegetables. Put it on a plate and eat it. As white a cooking as you could possibly get. My mum would boil the crap out of the vegetables. Soggy broccoli, mashed potato, peas, lamb chop and some ketchup. My brother was a good water, but I hated my mum's cooking. I thought I hated vegetables for most of my life, but really, it was just hers. Sorry mum. I was always doing whatever I could to get out of eating her vegetables. My dog wouldn't eat them. Best friend's my butt. So I would, kind of stuff them whatever. Like, we had these big old curtains that seemed to have these deep seams/pockets, and I would put them in there, or throw them into a vase, or bury them into a plant pot when no one was looking. Hey, I was 7. One night, I guess I was being particularly difficult. I could kind of eat mashed potato, but my mum had hid peas in the mashed potato. I still hate peas, like demon poops, and ruined whatever chance I had of even vaguely enjoying it. I recall that the meat was some kind of boring chicken I wasn't even looking forward to, so there was little incentive for me to get through this meal. My dad had enough and decided he was going to feed me like a baby since you're acting like one. My dad isn't a really angry guy, but he can be stubborn when he snaps. Now he picks up the fork and starts shoveling the mashed potato pea hybrid demon concoction into my mouth. I barely manage to swallow before another is stuffed into my mouth. So not only am I having to eat what I don't want, it is going a little too fast for me. I gag. I don't remember exactly what Dad said, but he didn't believe I was actually sick. Somewhat fair, I was a dramatic kid. But I do remember him saying, "You're not leaving this plate until you finish." Fine, stay with the plate, you got it. A few more mouthfuls and I gag again. Dad pushes another mouthful in and then it happens. I feel the gag reflex go that bit further. The chain reaction that we are all familiar with has begun. Like a dog that has eaten too much grass, I heave it all up, right onto my plate, which my father was holding, and into his lap. Sloppy white and green mash dripping down the side of the plate, and I slowly looked up at Dad, who just looked stunned. I didn't get into trouble or anything, but I got to eat some tin spaghetti, a way better deal, for the rest of my dinner. Dad never tried to force feed me again, and I went back to hiding my vegetables and occasionally throwing them out of the window. Maybe it is the cooking that he probably didn't like, but I absolutely love mashed potato and peas. I always put them together and yeah, I like it. Don't want me to shout in a loud kitchen? No problem. As a teen, I used to work as a busser in a restaurant with a 100% Mexican kitchen staff. Nothing wrong with that, except that almost none of them spoke English very well. One of the kitchen staff spoke no English whatsoever, and he happened to be the dishwasher. Since I was a busser, he was the person I interacted with the most on a daily basis. Now onto the problem. Whenever a dish rack is full and ready to be washed, we were supposed to say "glasses" in Spanish to the dishwasher. Once he heard this, he'll grab the glasses and wash them. Pretty straightforward. Anyone who's worked in the food industry could probably attest that kitchens are loud as heck. Stoves going off, music playing, dishes clacking together, and all this other stuff is going off at once, so you're lucky to get a word out without being drowned out by "Oy mi amor" playing for the 6th time. All I knew in Spanish was glasses, and I tried to be as polite as possible because I didn't know any other Spanish words. But once it got busy, all I could do was just to shout "glasses" for him to hear me. I never got any response from the guy either, so it was hard to tell whether he heard me or not. This led to me adding on to the volume. After a while, my managers started to chastise me about being rude to the guy for basically shouting at him and that I should be more polite. No big deal at the time, so I just lowered my voice and learned how to say please in Spanish. However, my manager continued to talk to me about my rudeness, and even the waitstaff started to get on my case as well. I honestly had no idea what to do. If I lowered my voice and spoke more politely, the dishwasher wouldn't hear me, but if I raised my voice, I would get scolded. So I just kept my mouth shut, literally. Whenever the dish rack was full, I was completely silent and just started stacking the glasses on the plate table instead. This led to a massive backlog of dishes and dirty looks from the kitchen staff, but I didn't care because I was pretty angry myself. This went on for a few days, and when I came back to work after the weekend, I started saying glasses at my usual volume, and I never got talked to about it again. Surely the best solution there would for the guy to learn glasses in English, so the guy could just say, "Glasses please," and then the other guy knows what he's talking about. And surely it's not that hard to teach you. Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now, or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like. And if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.